Hi, how's everybody doing tonight? I decided I was going to come on live and share my favorite bread recipe that I like to do all the time. It's super easy, and especially right now when it's hard to find bread at the store, it's a great recipe to have on hand. So I'm doing this quickly because everybody is hungry and the kitchen's a little bit messy right now, but that's totally fine. So this is a wonderful book, and I don't think it's flipped right now, but it's Artisan Bread in 5 minutes. Yeah, the new Artisan Bread in 5 minutes a day. This is a fantastic book. If you love the smell of fresh baked bread, this is a book that you really should have. There are so many wonderful recipes in here, and 5 minutes a day, what? It's actually serious. You can make bread in 5 minutes a day, and I'm going to show you how in just a minute. I would definitely add this to your cookbook library because it's fantastic. And I read a study at one time, a couple years back, that the smell that made people the happiest ever is that of fresh baking bread. So if you want to stay happy while you're in quarantine, get this book, and you can get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. I actually had to pick up another book at Barnes & Noble today, and they're doing a great thing where I ordered it online. They had it ready for me. You just call them when you get there. They bring it out, hand it to you, and then you can be on your way. So you don't even touch anybody or anything like that. But Amazon is also a great option. So I am going with we like to do on Friday nights. Let me back it up. On Friday nights, we like to have pizza, which I think is a great thing to do. I like this recipe because I can make loaves of bread out of this recipe. I can use it for pizza dough. I can use it for, if I want to do like a nice cinnamon bread, I can do that. I can make baguettes out of it. This is a great recipe that you can do pretty much any kind of bread. I've done cinnamon rolls, English muffins, so many different things. So it's a really great basic recipe. All you need is some all-purpose flour, and I like to do unbleached. You need some kosher salt. You need some yeast and some water. So that's pretty easy. So I'm going off of the basic recipe that's right here at the front, and they do have a website. Go ahead and reach out to me and I will send it to you because I can't remember it off the top of my head, but if you're interested, I'll be happy to send you that website where they do like troubleshooting if you're having problems with your dough, it's not coming out how you want it. But this is a fantastic book because it really gets into a lot of the science if you're into that kind of stuff. If you're into the science of how to develop recipes and everything. Oh, here, before I go on, like there's some extra recipes besides just the bread dough. This is like for one of the pizzas because there is a separate pizza dough, but there's some naan and some lavash. A lot of great, the brioche. The brioche in here, no, it's the challah is what I use and I make our French toast out of. But these sticky rolls, like all sorts of great options. Oh yeah, the beignets. Yum. Anyway, let me come back here because I had the page open and then it moved. I used it for about 2 years. We did not use any store-bought bread, and I made all of our bread. And this is how I was able to do it. It literally just takes a couple of minutes. If you're doing the standard recipe, you don't have to wash the bowl out in between. It kind of takes on a sourdough kind of quality. You just add more flour each time, use the same bowl. But yeah, I used to make this bread every single, probably 2 or 3 times a week. Now my family started to get a little bit fussy because there's no preservatives in it, so it will start to dry out quicker than regular store-bought bread. But if you're eating it quickly, it's not that big of a deal, and it's so easy to replenish it that it's really not that big of a deal. Yeah, there it is. And side note, I found that Target has the best price on flour for like for the Pillsbury, like all-purpose I got the King Arthur on sale. It was a great deal. I can't remember when. But anyway, Target, I feel like, always has the best price on flour in our area. Sometimes they jack up the price of flour, and it might be hard to find flour right now too. So I would recommend maybe, again, Amazon or some kind of delivery service might be best. So anyway, let's get to the recipe. The kids are watching Lady and the Tramp, and Caesar is like freaking out. So it's pretty funny. Okay, so we are gonna start with, you want to use water that's about 100 degrees, and you're going to do 3 cups of water. Now in this book, it'll have the volume, the weight in metric, and the weight in US, and then the volume in each of the items. So I'm just going to go through what I normally do. 3 cups of water. Okay, so I tend to, my water takes forever to get hot. So I do 1 cup that I've zapped for 30 seconds. And then I do another cup that's kind of cold. I'm going to zap another one of these in the microwave. I just do 30 seconds in the microwave just to kind of take some of the chill off of it. This is the final one. Come over here and just zap it really quickly. And then while we're doing that, turn my hands off, I'm going to, you can use cold water because it's going to, this is going to, I'm not going to use it today. It's going to sit in the refrigerator overnight. So that's why I'm making it tonight so I can have pizza tomorrow. There we go. I'm going to dump this water in, and I'm going to measure out the yeast. So I like to use a Fleischmann's dry. I usually get this, well actually this might be Red Star. I just save the jar, and then I get my yeast at Costco in the big package. I know a lot of places we're out of yeast right now. I think a lot of people are kind of trying to do the same thing where they're making their own bread while bread is hard to find. But it's just 1 tablespoon. Okay, there we go. Measure that in. Just kind of sprinkle it over the top. And let that go. Okay. There we go. There's my 1 tablespoon of yeast. And then you have the option 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of kosher salt, depending on what you're... I'll try and adjust some of the lighting there. 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of salt depending on what you're using it with. If you're going to make something that ends up being a little bit sweeter, you probably don't want to do 1.5 tablespoons. I'm just going to do the 1 tablespoon because it's easy to remember. 3 cups of water, 1 tablespoon of yeast, 1 tablespoon of salt, and then it's going to be 2 pounds of flour. So I'm going to give this actually a quick stir. I'm going to use my trusty wooden spoon and just stir it just a little bit. Let's see if I can try to, there we go. Maybe not. And it's going to look like really milky. The yeast is going to start to bloom here. And... hey, sweetie. Yeah, I think that's a scary book. I don't think you want that. I haven't read it. Okay, I don't like to put the... let's see it. I don't like to put the salt in right away because the salt can kill the yeast. So, but this, everything kind of moves a little bit quickly. I'm kind of slowing it down for right now since we're doing the video. I'm trying to adjust this. So it's a little bit easier. I don't know. This is hard to do. This is the first time I've done like a recipe like this live, so it's kind of, we're kind of doing some troubleshooting. Anyway, so that's that. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure 1 tablespoon of salt and put that in there. And then the only thing else that I use for this recipe that I didn't already talk about is I like to use just a little scale so I can measure out the 2 pounds. So now we've already measured everything here. I'm gonna turn it on And now you've already got stuff in your bowl, so you want to make sure that you tare it. So put that on and then hit the 0 button. You don't have to use a scale, but when you get into some more like higher level baking, when you get, this is hilarious. When you get into some higher level baking, which you may or may not do, a lot of things are weighed out, and it is helpful to have the scale. Or if you're trying to keep track of your weight and measure things out and make sure that you're truly getting one serving and not like, yeah, that looks good. It's a good thing to have in your kitchen. Or if you do any kind of shipping of like little things. Okay, so now here I'm just going to dump. It's going to be very technical. I'm going to dump in 2 pounds of flour. And again, I like to use all-purpose, unbleached flour. So if you want to do this with your kids, you can do a math lesson here. You can do math and science. 1 pound is 16 ounces. So 2 pounds is how much? How much? If 1 pound is 16 ounces, Aiden, how much is 2 pounds? 32. Yay. Ounces. There you go. Good. So we made chocolate chip cookies the other day and used that as our math lesson. We're at 1 pound and 15 and 7/8 ounces. So I just need 1/8 more. There we go. 2 pounds of flour. And then here's where it gets crazy. You know what? You can't help because you didn't wash your hands, okay?
I'm just gonna watch.
Okay, you're just gonna watch.
Actually, I wanna help, so I'm gonna watch my hands.
Well, there's nothing left to do really. So now you're just gonna stir this in. It's going to get.
I want to stir it up.
No, it's okay. It's gonna get tough, and so at this point, just to make it easier, I like to give myself some space, move the scale out of the way. Hey, stop. And really, I mean, your kids can help with this, of course, but you really need to get in here and get all of the flour saturated with the water. It's going to turn into a dough. You can actually just use your hands instead, but it's going to look a little bit shaggy. It's going to seem a little bit dry compared to some other doughs if you've made dough before. But that's okay, because what it's going to do is it's going to sit in the refrigerator overnight. You don't have to do it that way. You do want to let it sit for at least 2 hours out at room temperature before you use it. But because of how this dough is, I find that it's much easier to use it if it's been chilled. So I prefer to just try and get it done the day ahead. And as you can tell, I mean, this took no time to pull together. It would have been quicker if I weren't like talking through it and trying to adjust the camera. But you really don't want to need this. All the recipes in this book is no need. There's no need to need. So it's really easy from that standpoint. And you're just really, like I said, mixing the flour in. And even if you don't get all the flour all the way mixed in, it's totally okay. Because like I said, it's going to sit in the refrigerator and the flour will soak up all the liquid anyway. So there we go. And I'm just going to wipe the spoon off and scrape that down, and then I'm just going to cover it with a little bit of plastic wrap. I do have some very large containers that I used to use in the refrigerator that have lids on them. They're great for this if you're going to be doing this on a regular basis. Just poke a little hole if you can in the top so that you can get a little bit of air in there. But other than that, it's great. So plastic wrap is a fine option, or just poke a little hole in the lid. So, but you don't need to make it airtight is what my point is. So a little bit of plastic wrap, pop it like that. There we go. It'll sit in the fridge, and then tomorrow, maybe we'll go live. But the cool thing about this is now we've got this big batch of dough. So if you want to, what's wrong, sweetie? We've got some tears. Oh, I'm sorry. You came over when I was just at the done. When I was just done. Do you want to come and say hi? No? Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry, bud. So anyway, this pile of dough will make 4 loaves of bread. So those are kind of like 1 pound loaves of bread, or you could make about 4 decent sized pizzas, or you can use this and just everybody can make their own little pizza tomorrow when we have pizza night. Not sure if we're going to do that because that takes a lot. And I don't know if after everything that's going on, if I have the patience to go through all that. But in any event, you can make multiple pizzas and it's done very quickly. And you know what? I think I might live bake it tomorrow. That might be our Friday night fun, and we'll live bake some pizzas. It does get kind of sticky and it is hard to roll it out, and I have a couple of tips that I like to do. So maybe I will do it tomorrow and show you guys. And maybe if I have time, maybe I'll do another like little mini loaf or something too. Anyway, so versatile. There's so many things you can do with it. And I just really love it. And I really think that you should give it a try because it is just the smell of the fresh baked bread is so good. Oh, and that's what I was going to say. On the pizza, I'm all over the place because the kids are wrestling with the dog, and one side he didn't want to help and now he wants to help. Anyway, with the pizza, I like to make a really thin crust. So it's healthier, right? Because it's thin and it gets really nice and crispy. But I've also made it with this same dough, more of a thicker crust, or like a deep dish, which is also very, very good. But there's something so different about making your own dough than just like even buying dough or just like anything else, or getting delivery and having extra people touch your food and that kind of stuff. Yeah, we got, yeah, never mind. We got food poisoning one time from a pizza place and it was not fun. So we don't eat there anymore, but I love making my own pizza. So anyway, if you guys have any questions about this, go ahead and leave me a comment below. If you would like the link where you can get all the information and a lot of great stuff from 5-minute artisan bread in 5 minutes a day, go ahead and reach out to me. I'd be happy to share it with you. And if you give it a try, let me know how it works. It does take a little bit of work, but it is so worth it in the end. So hope you're having a great Thursday night and stay healthy, everybody. Thanks.